Switzerland hits you first with beauty, not subtle beauty, not the kind you have to search for, the kind that stops you. Snow-covered peaks, mirror-like lakes, deep green valleys, wooden chalets hanging over steep slopes, waterfalls dropping from cliffs, trains gliding through the Alps with impossible precision, church bells echoing in cold mountain air. From the outside, Switzerland looks like the perfect postcard, a country of chocolate, luxury watches, private banks, alpine villages, and ski resorts. Calm, clean, rich, safe. But that is only half the story. Because behind the beauty, behind the order, behind the polished image, there is another Switzerland, a hidden Switzerland, a country built not just to impress the world, but to survive it. A country where mountains are more than scenery, they are shields. Where tunnels are more than engineering marvels, they are lifelines. Where silence can hide military logic, where ordinary homes may contain shelters, where roads, railways, and alpine passes have been thought of not just as tourist routes, but as strategic assets. This is what makes Switzerland so fascinating. It is one of the most beautiful countries on earth, and one of the most prepared. This is a place where you can spend the morning staring at a lake so blue it looks unreal, the afternoon riding one of the greatest train journeys in the world, and the evening realizing that somewhere inside the rock beside you there may be a sealed bunker door, a hardened corridor, or the remains of a military fortress designed for the worst day imaginable. That contrast is pure Switzerland. Beauty on the surface, preparation underneath. And if you really want to understand this country, you need both. You need the dream, and you need the hidden structure protecting it. This is Switzerland, the world's most high-tech fortress. If you've never been to Switzerland, imagine the first moments. You step off the train, maybe in Zurich, maybe Geneva, maybe Lucerne, maybe Interlaken. The first thing you notice is the air. It feels cleaner, colder, sharper. Then the sound. No chaos, no blaring noise, no rush of confusion, just movement. Controlled, quiet, smooth. Then you look up, and there they are, mountains. Not far away, not just a backdrop. They feel present, immediate. Like the whole country was built in conversation with them. That's one of the first Swiss sensations. Control and scale at the same time. You feel it in the cities, you feel it in the train stations, you feel it in the villages. And above all, you feel it in the landscape. Because Switzerland doesn't just offer scenery, it offers cinematic transitions. You leave a city street. A few minutes later, you're beside a lake. An hour later, you're climbing into clouds. And suddenly, The world below feels smaller, quieter, simpler. That's why Switzerland pulls people in so strongly. It doesn't just look beautiful, it feels like escape, but it also feels secure, and that feeling matters, because Swiss calm is not accidental. It was built. For centuries, Switzerland lived surrounded by stronger powers. France, Germany, Austria, Italy. Europe changed constantly around it. Empires rose. Armies crossed borders, wars redrew maps, and in the middle of it all, this small alpine country learned one lesson very well. If you are small, wealthy, and strategically located, you cannot afford to be careless. So Switzerland made a choice. Not to dominate, not to expand, not to become an empire, to endure, to survive, to stay functional, to stay difficult, to break. That choice shaped everything. Its neutrality, its infrastructure, its military thinking, its relationship to money, its culture of preparedness, even the way it uses the mountains themselves. But before we go underground, before we talk about bunkers in the Alps, hidden fortifications, shelters, data vaults, and armed neutrality, we need to start where most people fall in love with Switzerland first: the landscapes, the train rides, the lakes, the mountain villages, the places that make you want to stop, breathe, and just look. And one of the best places to begin is Lucerne. Lucerne is one of those cities that feels almost too beautiful to be real. You have the old town, painted facades, towers, narrow streets, the famous chapel bridge stretching across the river, the water moving gently beneath it, and beyond all of that, the lake opening outward into mountain country. It is one of the most graceful city settings in Europe. Early in the morning, before the crowds grow, Lucerne can feel almost weightless. The light is soft, the river reflects the roofs and towers, the wooden bridge creaks slightly under your feet. The whole city seems to exist in perfect proportion, and then you look beyond the buildings, beyond the church spires, beyond the waterfront, and the mountains rise behind everything. That's what Lucerne does so well. It gives you the fairy tale version of Switzerland. But it also reminds you constantly that nature here is never far away. And the best part is that in Switzerland, the journey is often as beautiful as the destination. From Lucerne, you can take a boat across the lake, then climb by cogwheel railway toward Mount Rigi, or head up toward Pilatus. And as you rise, the whole world opens beneath you. The lake becomes a sheet of silver blue. Villages shrink into clusters of rooftops. The air cools. The wind replaces city noise. You can feel the altitude. You can feel the exposure. Imagine yourself standing at a mountain viewpoint above Lucerne. You hear the wind. That's it, just the wind. Maybe a distant bell, maybe the faint sound of voices carried away in the air. Below you, the lake bends through the landscape like polished glass. Green hills roll toward harder, steeper peaks in the distance. Clouds cast shadows that move slowly across the water. Silence. just the wind and the mountains. This is where Switzerland starts to work on people emotionally. It slows you down, but it also makes you understand something else. High ground is never only beautiful, it is also strategic. And that idea runs all through the country. But that's only the beginning, because if Lucerne is the elegant gateway to Alpine Switzerland, then the Bernese Oberland is where the country begins to feel almost mythic. This is the Switzerland people dream about before they ever set foot there. Interlaken, Grindelwald, Lauterbrunnen, Mürren, Wengen, the Jungfrau region. The names alone already feel cinematic, and then you arrive. Interlaken sits between two extraordinary lakes, Lake Thun and Lake Brienz, with some of the most famous mountains in Europe rising behind it. It is lively, international, and full of movement, but its greatest power is its position. It feels like a threshold. A place where the ordinary world starts giving way to the alpine one, and the lakes here are unforgettable. Lake Brienz, especially, has that surreal glacial color that barely looks natural, a pale turquoise, almost glowing from within. On a clear day, it doesn't look like water so much as liquid light. Take a boat on Lake Brienz and let the shoreline slide past. Forested slopes, small docks, quiet villages, wooden houses, steep mountains dropping almost directly into the water. It doesn't feel rushed. That's important. Switzerland is not just about checking off famous sites. Its beauty often works best when you let it unfold slowly. The lake gives you time to look, time to notice the reflections, the changing clouds, the way the slopes darken as evening comes in, the way the air above the water feels cooler, cleaner. But if Interlaken is the threshold, Lauterbrunnen is the shock. Lauterbrunnen Valley is one of the most visually spectacular places in Europe. And there is no better word for the first feeling than vertical. You arrive, and the cliffs rise almost straight up on both sides. Waterfalls fall from impossible heights. The valley floor remains green, soft, inhabited, alive. Small houses sit beneath giant walls of rock. Trains move quietly through the grass. Cows graze in fields that seem impossibly calm, considering the scale surrounding them. It doesn't feel real at first. It feels designed, too dramatic, too complete. And then the sound reaches. You, water, everywhere. Lauterbrunnen is famous for its waterfalls, and once you're there, you understand why. They drop from the cliffs, vanish into spray, reappear lower down, and fill the whole valley with a soft, constant movement. Imagine yourself standing there. You hear cowbells in the distance, fresh alpine air on your face, the sound of falling water, a train gliding by almost silently, huge walls of stone on both sides. This is not just scenery, it's atmosphere. And it's one of the places that makes people fall completely in love with Switzerland. From Lauterbrunnen, you can rise even higher toward Mürren or Wengen, and the whole experience changes again. The valley falls away below you. The air turns colder. The peaks feel closer. The villages become quieter. Mürren, especially, has that suspended feeling that only certain mountain places achieve. No heavy urban noise, no rush. Just wooden buildings, mountain light, clean air, and one of the greatest alpine panoramas on Earth. Then there is Grindelwald. If Lauterbrunnen feels vertical and enclosed, Grindelwald feels wider, brighter, more open to the great faces of the Alps. It is one of the places where the scale of the mountains becomes almost overwhelming. And nearby is one of the most striking tourist experiences in the country. Grindelwald first. The ride up already feels like an adventure. You rise above pastures, tree lines, cliffs, and slopes until the world opens into pure alpine space. And then you step onto the first cliff walk. Metal, sky, rock, depth. You are standing on a walkway attached to the side of the mountain, with air beneath you and huge Swiss landscapes stretching in every direction. Imagine yourself there. You grip the railing, the wind moves across your face. Below you, green slopes fall away into the valley. Beyond them, snow-covered peaks cut into the sky. That's a YouTube moment. That's the kind of image people remember. Because Switzerland does not only offer pretty scenery, it offers scale you can physically feel. And then there is Jungfrau, or more precisely, Jungfrau Joch, often called Top of Europe. This is one of the most iconic mountain experiences in Switzerland. And yes, it is famous. Yes, it is visited by tourists from all over the world. But when something is that famous and still leaves people speechless, it usually means the place deserves it. The journey itself is part of the experience. You climb through some of the most dramatic mountain country in Europe, through tunnels and high routes, until you emerge into a world of ice, snow, altitude, and impossible views. Up there, the landscape stops feeling pastoral. It becomes glacial, sharp, white, vast. You step out and the cold hits differently. The light is stronger. The snow feels almost blinding. The air feels thinner. The scale of the glacier beyond is hard to process at first. You are standing high in the Alps, looking out over a frozen world. This is the kind of place that reminds you how small you are. And that matters. because part of Switzerland's emotional power comes from this constant contrast between human precision and overwhelming nature. Perfect trains, perfect tunnels, perfect stations, and then suddenly ice fields, cliffs, and weather that make human control feel temporary. That's also part of the Swiss story. The country did not conquer the mountains. It learned how to live with them. And in times of danger, it learned how to use them. That is the hidden side of all this alpine beauty. For the Swiss, mountains were never just postcard material. They were barriers, observation points, defensive zones, final fallback territory. This is where the idea of armed neutrality becomes real. Switzerland is often described as neutral, and for many outsiders that sounds soft, gentle, detached. But Swiss neutrality was never meant to be weakness. It was meant to be protected. It meant we are not joining your war, but you are not taking our country either. That is a very different thing. And over time, the Swiss built an entire system around that principle. A military culture of readiness, strategic fortifications, plans for defending key routes, hidden positions in the mountains, shelters for civilians. Infrastructure designed with crisis in mind. That's why Switzerland fascinates people who love bunkers, hidden systems, survival design, and elite preparedness. Because this isn't just one secret installation somewhere in the Alps. It's a whole country shaped by the idea of continuity. And nowhere do you feel that more strongly than in the mountain corridors that matter most. The Gotthard region is one of them. This is where Switzerland reveals its skeleton. The Gotthard is not just scenic alpine terrain. It is one of Europe's great transit corridors. For centuries, movement between north and south passed through here. Trade, armies, goods, messages, power. And because these routes mattered so much, they had to be protected. Travel through the Gotthard region and the mood changes. The beauty is still there, but it becomes harder, more severe. The mountains feel less romantic and more strategic. Rock dominates. Weather moves fast. Tunnels and roads feel essential, not decorative. Imagine standing at a high roadside lookout in this region. Cold wind, clouds dragging low over the peaks, rock everywhere, a road cutting through the mountain world. You can feel why this mattered. You can feel why a country would look at terrain like this and think not only of beauty, but of defense. That is the difference between seeing Switzerland as a tourist and seeing Switzerland as a state. The tourist sees scenery. The state sees choke points. And this is exactly why the country built so many defensive systems into its landscape. Bunkers, hidden artillery positions, reinforced sites, protected corridors, shelters. For many Americans, the idea of a bunker is tied to survivalism. A private escape plan, a billionaire fantasy, a prepper dream. But in Switzerland, the bunker was often something else. It was normalized. It became part of national planning. That is one of the most remarkable things about Switzerland. Preparedness here was not left only to a remote military elite or to the ultra-rich. It became embedded in the country itself, in buildings, in planning, in infrastructure, in expectations. The idea was simple. If crisis comes, you don't want to start improvising. You want systems already in place. And so the Swiss built for continuity. That included military defenses in the Alps, but it also included civil protection, shelters, reserve planning, hardened infrastructure, protected transport routes. The ability to keep functioning. That is why the Swiss fortress is so fascinating. It is not loud, it hides. A door in a hillside, a wall that seems ordinary, a structure that blends into the slope, a building with more beneath it than above it. The country feels double. On the surface, beauty, order, tourism, luxury, peace. Underneath, concrete, steel, secrecy, resilience, preparation. And once you know that, you start seeing Switzerland differently. A tunnel is no longer just a tunnel. A pass is no longer just scenic. A quiet village feels connected to something larger. A mountain looks less empty. But Switzerland is not only mountain drama and hidden bunkers, it is also lakes. And Swiss lakes have a special kind of power, because after the peaks, after the cliffs, after the tunnels and the train rides, the country opens into water, stillness, reflection, calm. And some of the most unforgettable places in Switzerland are found not on the summits, but beside the lakes. One of the most beautiful is Lake Oceanen. If you want a place that feels like pure alpine magic, this is it. The lake sits high above Kandersteg, framed by cliffs and mountains, with water that shifts between turquoise, deep green, and silver depending on the light. Getting there is part of the experience. You rise into the mountains, and then suddenly the view opens. And there it is. A perfect alpine lake, still water, steep walls, pine forests, open sky. Imagine yourself standing there. The air is cool. You can smell trees and grass. The lake is almost impossibly clear. Everything feels quieter. Not empty, just quiet. This is where Switzerland becomes contemplative in the purest way. No city noise, no rush, no urgency. Just water, stone, light, and air. That kind of place makes people dream. It makes them want to come. And that matters for this documentary, because Switzerland is not only something to understand, it's something to feel. Another place that carries that feeling in a different way is the Glacier Express. This is one of the most famous train journeys in the world, and for good reason. It links some of the most dramatic regions of the country, moving through mountain passes, deep valleys, bridges, villages, forests, and high alpine landscapes with a sense of calm spectacle that is almost impossible to match. And that is the key word here, spectacle. But Swiss spectacle rarely feels chaotic. It feels controlled. You sit by the window as the landscape changes hour by hour. Wide valleys, tight passes, old villages, rivers cutting through stone, bridges spanning impossible gaps, snow at altitude, green lower slopes below. You don't have to do anything, just look. The train does the work. The country unfolds. For an American audience, this matters because the Glacier Express is not just transportation. It is a moving cinematic experience. It is the kind of thing that makes you think, I want to be there. And once again, beneath the beauty lies the deeper Swiss logic. Rail in Switzerland is not only about tourism. It is about mastery of terrain. It is about connectivity in difficult conditions. It is about making the mountains livable, traversable, and dependable. The romance is real, but the romance rests on engineering. Then there is Zermatt and the Matterhorn. Few images on Earth are more instantly recognizable. The Matterhorn doesn't just look like a mountain. It looks like the idea of a mountain. A perfect pyramid of rock and snow rising above the landscape like a symbol. And when you first see it in person, it still works. That's rare. Usually, famous places lose some of their power once they become over-familiar in photos. But the Matterhorn keeps it. Maybe because the shape is so clean. Maybe because the setting is so dramatic. Maybe because the mountain reveals itself differently depending on light, weather, and angle. One of the great experiences here is simply reaching a classic viewpoint and seeing it clearly. Imagine yourself at sunrise or late afternoon, the light catching the face of the mountain, the air cold, the village below still quiet. You stand there and just look. No need for explanation. The mountain does all the work. And Zermatt itself adds to the experience. Wooden chalets, narrow streets, clean air, no sense of urban chaos. Just a high alpine village turned into one of the great mountain destinations in the world. But once again, Switzerland is never only dreamscape. This is also a country of systems, cable cars, mountain rail, avalanche planning, route safety, high altitude engineering, logistics in extreme terrain. The dream survives because the systems hold. And maybe nowhere else in Europe makes that so clear. Then there is the opposite mood entirely. The soft south, Ticino. Crossing into Ticino feels like entering another version of Switzerland. The language shifts into Italian. The air warms. Palm trees appear. The lakes take on a different kind of shimmer. The architecture changes. The whole atmosphere loosens, and yet it is still unmistakably Swiss. That's one of the country's great strengths. It offers different emotional worlds without losing coherence. Lugano is a perfect example. The lakefront in the evening is pure atmosphere. Water reflecting the last light. Hills above the shore, soft movement on the promenade, cafes, warm air. A slower rhythm. It is easy to understand why people fall for this place. And if you move into the Verzaska Valley, you find a different kind of beauty altogether. Clear emerald water, smooth stone, forest shade, small villages, old bridges. This is not beauty on a giant scale, it is beauty on a precise scale. The sound of the river over rock, the cool temperature near the water, the texture of stone under your hand, the smell of warm forest air. Switzerland works here too, not through overwhelming scale, through detail. And above this southern part of the country, Bellinzona's castles remind you once again that beauty and strategy have long gone together in Switzerland. These valleys mattered, these routes mattered, fortifications were never random here. They were answers to geography. That is the whole Swiss story in one idea. Geography asks a question, Switzerland answers with design. Nowhere is that clearer than in Zurich. Zurich doesn't seduce like Lucerne or Zermatt. It's not trying to. Its power is different, more urban, more controlled, more financial. This is the Switzerland of money, law, institutions, and quiet influence. Walk through Zurich and you feel concentration. Serious things happen here. Capital moves here. Wealth is managed here. Systems are maintained here. And yet, the city still feels elegant, calm, and livable. That's part of the Swiss genius. Even money feels quiet here. For the American viewer interested in finance, secrecy, wealth, and the idea of protected assets, Zurich matters because it represents another side of the fortress. Not military defense, financial defense. The safeguarding of value. And in the modern world, that no longer means only gold, cash, or safes. It means data too. Because Switzerland's old instinct to protect what matters has moved into the digital age. Today, the country's reputation for stability, discretion, engineering, and secure infrastructure makes it a natural home not only for private wealth, but for data centers, secure hosting, backup systems, and sensitive digital storage. In other words, the bunker logic evolved. The mountain still protects. But now it may protect servers instead of artillery, information instead of ammunition, continuity in a cyber age instead of continuity in a purely military one. That is why the phrase high-tech fortress actually fits Switzerland so well. This is not just an old mountain defense story. It is an updated one. The country still sells the same thing it always did. Trust. Trust that systems will hold. Trust that infrastructure will work. Trust that crisis was anticipated. Trust that what matters can be protected. And that is one of the reasons Switzerland became so rich. Not just because of banks, not just because of secrecy, not just because of tourism, because it learned how to turn stability into value. How to turn precision into reputation, how to turn preparation into power, how to turn beauty into desirability, and how to do all of that without losing the sense of calm that made the country attractive in the first place. That's why Switzerland fascinates. It isn't just a beautiful country, it's a system. A system of lakes, tunnels, passes, railways, mountains, laws, vaults, villages, and hidden layers. A system built around the idea that if the world becomes unstable, this place should still function. And that is what you begin to feel as you move through it. Not just that it is scenic, not just that it is rich, not just that it is safe, that it is ready. So, what does Switzerland actually feel like when you visit? It feels clear. The air feels clearer. The water feels clearer. The lines of the landscape feel cleaner. It feels calm, not empty calm, structured calm. It feels expensive, yes, but more than that, it feels maintained, held together, intentional. The trains, the villages, the viewpoints, the tunnels, the lakefronts, the mountain paths. Everything seems to belong to a wider logic. And then there are the moments, the real moments. Standing on the first cliff walk with the wind moving hard across the ridge, looking down into Lauterbrunnen as waterfalls fall through the air, reaching Jungfraujoch and seeing the glacier spread out in front of you, watching Lake Oceanen change color beneath morning cloud, crossing the country on the Glacier Express while valley after valley unfolds outside the window, seeing the Matterhorn catch the last light of the day, hearing bells in the distance above Lucerne, feeling the warmth of the south in Lugano after hours in Alpine, cold. That's what makes people want to come. Not just the idea of Switzerland, the feeling of being inside it. And yet, all the while, another truth stays with you. This country did not become peaceful by being naive. It became peaceful by taking the world seriously. Its neutrality was armed. Its beauty was protected. Its roots were defended. Its wealth was guarded. Its infrastructure was hardened. Its mountains were studied not only as scenery, but as shields. That deeper layer never ruins the dream. It deepens it. Because the most interesting places in the world are never only pretty. They have tension, memory, complexity, and Switzerland has all three. So now the question becomes simple. Is Switzerland just a postcard? Or is it one of the most extraordinary countries ever built for survival, beauty, and continuity at the same time? The answer is both. It is a travel dream and a fortress, a place of silence, lakes, glaciers, rail journeys, and unforgettable mountain views. And a place of hidden bunkers, secure corridors, military logic, strategic neutrality, protected wealth, and engineered resilience. That combination is what makes it unforgettable. When evening falls in the Alps, the country changes again. Lakes darken into mirrors. Villages light up beneath the peaks. Trains move through valleys in lines of light. The mountains become silhouettes. Everything gets quieter, but Switzerland never feels asleep. It feels ready. And maybe that is the real secret of this country. Not just the beauty, not just the money, not just the mountains, not just the bunkers, but the discipline to prepare, the discipline to maintain, the discipline to protect what matters, the discipline to turn a small country into one of the most trusted, most beautiful, and most resilient places on earth. Switzerland didn't just build a nation. It built continuity, a high-tech fortress, hidden in plain sight, under snow, stone, steel, glass, and silence. So now tell me, do you still see Switzerland as just a postcard, or as a country you need to experience for yourself? If this journey transported you, subscribe for more documentaries exploring the world's most extraordinary places.